We might have these big dreams, but before we get there, how can we just sit down and have tea and listen to our community and lead with kindness and love and care?
I can't say exactly how many of those special moments ACRS has had, but I'd say the impact is immeasurable. In 1968 to 1972, there was a great deal of civil unrest. Discrimination with respect to employment, housing, media, and also drug abuse.
There were huge gaps in those services to serve the Asian Pacific Island community.
We were not the model minority. We had needs, and so we decided to focus on mental health care and started ACRS.
My boss at Harborview Mental Health Center, Dr. Lindbergh Sata, took a $20 bill out of his pocket and he said, "Go buy some green tea and serve it to the customers."
When I think about that first moment, I think about the fact that one simple action, small action or modest action, can create a movement.
Sue Tamita, who was a mental health worker at Harborview, Tony Ishisaka, the school social work, Dave Okimoto, who was active in the mental health and substance abuse arena, basically all the volunteers. It almost felt like family that trusted each other, that worked really hard together and played pretty hard together.
I had an epiphany walking down Jackson Street one time early on, and I just felt this is the best job I've ever had. This is really very, very special.
One of our big turning points was the fall of Southeast Asia and the huge influx of Southeast Asian refugees in 1975.
The needs of refugees are immense. In addition to the fact that all refugees had gone through this horrible experience, we needed to meet people where they were.
So as the community grew, we added staff who already had the respect and reputation in their communities. We'd hear about a need and be more innovative about how to implement so that it would reflect the cultural needs of our community. The food bank was one of them. The first day we opened, we were just mobbed with people, grabbing stuff. We didn't know what we were doing because we'd never run a food bank before. Elderly Chinese walking out with 5-pound USDA cheese blocks and not knowing what to do with it. So in order to get them to at least try it, we wrote up cheese chow mein recipes. And we also learned ourselves to go out and seek the kind of food that actually was important to the folks that used our food bank.
We learn, we respond. We're never happy to just be the status quo. So another real turning point is helping communities access the tools and the mechanisms to participate in our democracy.
I think that is just so crucial to belonging. We're actually saying you can also change the systems, and we're going to create and facilitate the avenues for you to do that.
In the mid-90s, new welfare reform policies really shut out immigrants and refugees from accessing critical benefits that they needed to survive.
Communities across the state of Washington and leaders came together to create the Asian Pacific Islander Coalition of Washington State.
We brought thousands of people to the state capitol, folks who never met a legislator, along with volunteers and staff who could help provide some translation and interpretation so that legislators, decision makers, policymakers could see us as a collective movement and the power of that movement.
I mean, I think that we don't win alone, we win with other people by our side. And I think we've seen that time and time again. Our liberation is tied to each other, that none of us are free until all of us are free.
Today, our policy and civic engagement program has again helped to activate and bring younger people into this work. And it harkens back to our early beginnings that were about social work students, community volunteers coming together,
valuing the opinions and the leadership of young people while also making sure that we are constantly honoring our legacies, our elders, and where we came from. And every moment that calls for it, we're saying, who's not at the table? Who are we not serving?
We are not a monolith, but rather a diverse community.
I am inspired by all these emerging issue areas that our communities are lifting up, stepping aside and giving voice to others. It also means sharing power, centering the most marginalized, the most impacted community members so that they are front and center, not ACRS.
ACRS has grown and evolved to really bring meaning to what is belonging. That we have power, we have agency, we can make a difference and have a voice in what is important to us.
ACRS began with one cup of tea. It was like a moment that challenged something I'd been struggling with my whole life, which was how can I, as one person, taking this one action, really make so much of a difference in the world.
Seeing something that was so little be nurtured and grown and really give the community a place to be and to thrive, I think has just been a really wonderful thing to see.
I've come across ACRS from many different places and people.
People would be like, oh, maybe I could get involved with ACRS even though this is not my heritage or my background.
We all belong here, and that's what I think ACRS gives you.
And I think that that in itself shows the essential nature of what the ACRS brings to our community.
To bring so many people, so many different ethnicities and generations together just means everything to me. And I know it would mean everything to my mom.